Okay, we left off 305. The Mechaber had said that men, women, and converts, and he says, Avodim Shuchorim, emancipated slaves, are obligated in Kriyas Megillah. But he says slaves that are Shuchorim, right? They were emancipated. So once they're freed, they're gerim. They take on the status of a ger. So we're holding the Mishna Berura base. Aval Einim Shuchorim Peturim. But if they weren't emancipated to Potur, the Grey Minoshim Linyan Zev. Regarding this, they're less than women, which is different. Correct? Well, if you want to say Ger wasn't in this either. It's not so simple, right? Afay no Yibosam Nes. So you'd say because even a woman, she's like really just on the cusp of it. But a slave, which has the basis for his obligations, her, rabbinically, we don't obligate him. But because he cites the Yeshomrim, here, Yeshomrim, because factually he has all the obligations of the women, so he also has to read the Megillah. As a ktanim, hainu mishigia lemitzvus chinuch, only if he's come of age, ein lekam sivov, keven gam noshim chayovots. If women are obligated, so it's not only a male minor, even a female, a girl. Posh gam biktanus from mishum mitzvus chinuch, ein lekam sivov. Okay, we'll see. Base. Echad akorei v'echad shomei min akorei. The one who reads the Megillah, the one who hears it from the one who reads it. Yotze dechovoso, who sheyishma pimi shechayev shu chay b'kriyoso. But you have to hear it from a person who's obligated to kriya. Okay, lefichoch im hoyak korei cheirish okota no shote. Right. Let's say the one who hears it from is a cheirish. Here we're talking about a cheirish means a deaf mute. He's considered like he has no obligation whatsoever. Good question. Okay, we'll see. Evidently, he can't hear it himself. It's speaking, but he's able to speak, but he's not able to hear. Okoton, he's a minor, so it's a different level of obligation, right? A minor is chinuch, an adult, his chiyuv is because he has to follow Drabanan. Oshote, person's totally unstable. Hashomin lo yotze. The Yeshomrim is the Shit Sabahag. Tosis in Megillah brings. Others say Shanoshim in Motzi Sanoshim. Even though that woman is obligated, she cannot cover a man. I mean, they're both adults. It's interesting. A woman's obligated, yet she's not able to cover an adult. How do we understand it? Well, they're both Jabonets and both adults. They're both obligated to listen to the Chazal. We'll see, discuss it. Yes. V'yotzi dechovoso. Tzorch sheichavin akori lohotzi v'ashemir lotzis, which is by anything, right? The one who reads it has to have in mind to cover the listener, and the listener has to have in mind that he wants to be yotzei. Gedit shori mitzvahs she'echad motzi chaveru kilkam sim tofreish sadik sif yudalit cherish. Okay, hainu medaber v'enu shemei klal. Right? We're talking he's totally deaf. I mean, originally he was able to hear. He lost his hearing. Total stone deaf. He doesn't even hear himself speak. Even though we say, let's say, by Kriya Shema, versus Kriya Shema, although you can't hear yourself speaking, the halacha is a yotzei. Over here regarding Megillah, which is to publicize the miracle, it's not sufficient. For Kriya Shema, it's sufficient. Although you don't hear yourself speaking, yotzei. As long as you're able to articulate the words. But regard Pesumim Isa, Dashmi Loznohu Likuva. We want you to hear what you're saying. And if you're not able to hear what you're saying, you have no obligation. In Amecherish Goratvei, Sheinu Yochel Ashmi Lozno, Anchari, Chuva Dafkim Hu Cherish Gomor, Sheinu Shemea Klau. We speak on somebody He's stone deaf. Lafugim hu shomea shemedarbrim lo b'kol rom. Person who, if you speak to him loudly, he's able to hear. That's not a cherish. Chozel udashul nor avdas kamachronim. Dafilu cherish gomi yotza shomea mimenu. Even if he's actually, he says others argue with the mechaber. Even if he's stone deaf, cannot hear. Komokul chatchilu kuliam modim. But everybody agrees, preferably as the optimum balkore shlemidu lahotzi rabbi dechavoso. Regardless of how well he reads the Megillah, that if he's not able to hear, although the others argue with the mechaber, he should not be a first choice balkori if a person is deaf. Let's say a person is sitting a distance from the bima and he has difficulty hearing the kriya, he should have a kosher Megillah to read himself. Because if he feels any words that he doesn't hear clearly, he should read it from the Megillah because he has a kosher Megillah. Oh, koponim yechzus chumosh, ba'tevish yechzelo yoma takev min chumosh. He's not being yotze with it. No. First he says a kosher Megillah, and the others no, because Koral Peh is only the majority of the Megillah. But a minority, if you read it by heart from memory, you yotze. So the few words he says that he misses, he realized he didn't hear clearly. He should say it immediately in the chumash. The vast majority could hear. But the certain words, let's say he's not able to hear clearly, then he should say it from the Chumash. That's what most people follow. They follow in the Chumash. So, when you follow, you have to follow in a way where you're still listening to the Balkori. Because if you get fully involved in reading from the Chumash, then you're not going to be yotzi with what he's reading. Okay? O koton. Aval gav the koton amichayv al kopon midrabon. He's asking the question. Koton is obligated rabbinically, right? So why can't he cover the adult who's also obligated rabbinically? So he says what Tosa says in Brochus. The Lagabi Kotten Havi Trade Drabonon, Tosa Megillah. Regarding a Kotten, it's a double Drabonon. Right? An adult has to listen to the Chazal, to the Chachomim on the Torah level. And what you're listening, the law is rabbinical. A child has no obligation to listen at all. Right? That itself is rabbinical. Even the obligation to listen is rabbinical. So it's a double. So a double drabonon cannot cover a single drabonon. So they're not on par. They have to be on par, and because the minor is not on par with the adult, therefore the minor cannot cover the adult. The obligation to read the Megillah is based on divrei sofrim, is rabbinical. That a kotten, a minor, has to observe mitzvahs is also rabbinical. A person who has a double drabonon, a double rabbinical obligation, cannot cover a person who has a single rabbinical obligation. We discussed this regarding Birchas Hamazon. A child wants to cover a father. Birchas Hamazon. Okay? So let's see, the father did not eat Kedei Svia. He had a kazayis bread. And the child ate where he sated. The child could cover the father in that case. Why? Because they're both on par. Because that's rabbinic versus rabbinic. Because the amount that the child ate, if he'd be an adult, he'd be obligated to bench on the Torah level. The savota. So, but why does he have to bench? Rabbinical. The father, the adult, he ate just a morsel, just the minimal amount, kazayus. On a Torah level, he doesn't have to bench. So what does he have to bench? Rabbinically. So therefore, they're on par. It's rabbinical, it's one rabbinical. Therefore, the minor can cover his father. Correct. It doesn't have to be the exact same. Okay? Vine Yaleel Sim Tov Reish Ayin Hey Siv Gim Hevi Amchabri Yishmi Shemach Shemkon She Yelechinu Sheyochel Otzi Achem Kepad Lakoso Vuade Lini Kriyas Megillah Vayin Bikri Dinim Shkosov Shem Samer Chayi Demokom Atchak. He says factually, others argue with Tosis, and they say no, and therefore Demokom Atchak. Let's say you have no other Balkori. The only Balkori you have is a minor who's of age to be educated. Right? To be trained. That if the child is old enough, although he's a minor, he's able to cover the tzibur with Kriyas Megillah. No, just as long as he says the words. Trump is, no, correct. It's a good question. I mean, let's say you have an adult doesn't know the Trump, he's tone deaf, totally, and the child reads beautifully. Who should read the Megillah? Definitely the adult. The adult will read it correctly. He should read it. Because there's a b'diavad, there's a mokum adchak. If you have no choice, then you could rely on this more lenient opinion. Okay, the Mechaber says, Yeshom doshim einem motzisa anoshim. He cites a second opinion here, a secondary opinion. Women cannot cover men. Lo domi l'ner Chanukah d'shani Megillah d'avekimo kriyas haTorah. Upsul may cover that tzibur. Just as a woman can't read the Torah, even though he says, but Kriyas HaTorah, which is read in a public setting, is one thing. Megillah, you're able to yotzei, even privately. You don't need one doesn't need a minyan. So if that's the case, I mean, so why should the second opinion disqualify the woman? There's the primary reason. Yudalit, who's this? Grow. Yeah, that's the way they learn. See, the two, there's likroas and Megillah, there's lishmoa. Like we said, the Nasso bracha by Tkiyah Shofar is lishmoa. Lishmoa kol shofar. Is the obligation to read or is the obligation to listen? A man has an obligation to read. That's your obligation. The one who listens, we say shomei kona. Okay? The woman has no obligation to read. She only has an obligation to listen. So when she reads, she's not obligated to read. They'll cover it. It's covered. It doesn't make a difference. No. But that is a different question. No. There's a separate thing. The mitzvah of saying Kriya Shema is to read Kriya Shema. But there's a mitzvah lashmi la'ozno. You have to hear what you're saying. Otherwise, it's not considered a valid reading. The reading is not a reading. He was saying two different things. What is that? Is it to read or is it to listen? A reading to read, you have to be able to hear what you're saying. That's a proper reading. Now there's a separate question. Is your obligation to listen or is your obligation to what? To read. So for the woman to be Yotzei Kiddush, why is a woman Yotzei Kiddush when you say Kiddush on her behalf? That's Shomei Kona. Because a woman also has an obligation to say the words of Kiddush. The woman has no obligation to say the words of the Megillah. She has no one else to read for her, so she's saying it to be able to hear the words. So it comes out interesting. So if you have a woman who's not able to hear, right? She's deaf and she wants to read the Megillah. It has no value whatsoever according to this opinion. Because the mitzvah is to hear for her and not to read. According to the second opinion. Right? She has no relevance to the mitzvah. Okay, Mikri Shenim Choyevs. No. Women were able to read. The one time, Jewish women were always literate in reading. Can this opinion? She covered. Of course, she covers herself. Does she hear it? She hears it. Oh, she's deaf? No, because the mitzvah is to hear it. She's not able to hear it. The mikra is because there's one. We have one uniform text. Men, it's likro. It's to read. And of course, there's a question. You have to listen. You have to be able to hear yourself reading. The woman has no obligation to read, only to listen. If we would legislate a bracha just for women, it would be lishmoa, according to the second opinion. It's lishmoa. Lishmoa is a Megillah. Similar to shofar, lishmoa kol shofar. So what? Doesn't make that should make kona. Yeah, but what about if the woman's not obligated? The only person who cover you in something, she has the same obligation as you do. She doesn't have an obligation to read. So how could she cover me in reading? She's not. You can't say shemei kona. Her reading is my reading, but she's not obligated in reading. So that's the yesh omrim. Just the primary opinion of Mechaber is there's no difference. A man's obligation, a woman's obligation is identical. Not, a woman can't cover a man. Yesh omrim. The secondary opinion is a woman cannot cover. So we're trying to understand what exactly is what is the secondary opinion. See, the Vilna Gaon says her obligation is not to read, just to listen. So if that's the case, if she reads, she can't cover you. The person's obligation is to read. That's what we're explaining. Other women. That's what we're saying. Exactly. She can cover women, but she can't cover men, according to the secondary opinion. She could cover men. Yes, she could cover men. Only, but not to say a volcano. There's no obligation to men. For a man, 3 men, there's an obligation to bench with a zima. 3 women, if they choose to bench with a zima, they can. No. It's Gemara. It's Mefurish. Gemara says no, explicit. Because that would be considered preachers. It's considered a lack of modesty. That the man should be part of the group, right? It's not appropriate. Of course, they both have the exact same obligation to listen. Except, how do you listen? You have to read. No, her reading doesn't count for a person who's obligated to read. Neither of them have an obligation to read. They both have an obligation to listen. However, how do you listen? By reading. What about it's the woman herself? She wants to cover herself. She reads the Megillah and she hears what she's reading. That's her obligation. So if that's the case, the other woman is no different than herself. Right? The reading facilitates the listening. Tell you, there's the same thing. That's what he says. There's a famous word from there's a person, safe called Marcheshes. He explains it differently than this. This is the Gaon. He says, there's a famous chinuch. The chinuch says that women are not obligated in Mechias Amolik. Because women are not warfaring. So what about parshas Zohar? So the chinuch says they're absolved parshas Zohar. Why? Because the only reason why you're obligated to remember is to eradicate them, is to annihilate them. So since a woman has no obligation to annihilate them, because she's a woman, therefore she has no obligation to what? To remember what Amalek had done to us, because the remembering is only to annihilate. That's the chinuch, famous chinuch. Chinuch Sarishon. That's one of early. He's a codifier. So he says the Marcheshes. He explains it this way: the 2 aspects to Megillah. In Megillah, 2 things lie within Megillah. Is pursuing Nasso. We're all beneficiaries of the miracle, as it says. Why are women obligated? Afein hoyubos anes. They're also beneficiaries of the miracle. But within Megillah, what is also Megillah? It's Chiras Mechias Amalek. When you read the Megillah, you remember what Amalek wanted to do to us, and Hashem allowed us to destroy them. Right? That's what it is. So when you're reading that same text, the 2 things lie within the text. Zechiras Mechias Amalek, by parshas Zohar, and also pursuing Nasso, that we were all beneficiaries of the miracle. So since the woman, he says, since the woman is not obligated, the woman is obligated in reading. Also has an obligation to read. But what's contained with her reading? In her reading, only the aspect of pursuing Nasso is her reading. But the aspect of parshas Zohar, that's not within her reading, because a woman has no obligation in parshas Zohar. Therefore, that reading can only cover a woman or one aspect of the man, not both obligations of the man, because the man has a double obligation. It's the Zohar aspect and pursuing Nasso aspect. She's only able to cover one of them, not both. What would an example of this be? Okay, you have parshas Zohar and parshas Kiseitze, right? That's where we read it. Let's say the Balkori has in mind he's reading parshas Zohar and Kiseitze just because to read parshas Hashavua, not to cover anybody in parshas Zohar of the mitzvah of listening. one of the members of the congregation didn't hear parshas Zohar when they read parshas Zohar before Purim. And the Balkari does not have in mind that when he reads that, it's parshas Zohar. Is the person going to be Yotzei? The one who missed parshas Zohar before Purim, he won't be Yotzei. But he's listening to it. The answer is, there are two aspects to it. There's Zohar at the end of Kiseitze, which is parshas HaShavua. And then there's another aspect of Zohar, to be fulfilled the mitzvah. So you only, unless the Balkari has in mind specifically to cover those who didn't hear, they're not Yotzei. Similarly here, the two aspects in Kriyas Megillah. There's the Zohar aspect and there's the Pesumei Nisim aspect. She's able only to cover you in what she's obligated. She's obligated because she's a beneficiary of the miracle. But the other aspect, which is parshas Zohar, that she can't cover you. That's how we understand. He explains the second opinion, why the woman cannot be motzi a man. So she can be motzi to a degree. So according to the Mechaber, the way the Gro learns, a woman reading for men has no value whatsoever. According to this opinion, the way he explains it, has value. It's better than nothing. Because by hearing it, at least you'll be Yotzei one aspect of your obligation, not the first aspect of it. Because you're addressing two issues over here. This means the expert here. A Drabbanan, no. But you do. If it's one or two things, it's A or B, you have to have specifically in mind. You have to have in mind. If the whole discussion, mitzvahs, inshus, kavan means, if you take a lulav, David, this is important. You take, so what is a lulav? You have mitzvahs, inshus, kavan. It's either taking just a palm branch with the other species, which is nothing, or you're taking it, or it has the mitzvah value. So it's a question, is it nothing, or is it mitzvah? What about it's a question of one of two mitzvahs? Then you have to have specific, because which mitzvah is it? Is it mitzvah A or mitzvah B? The whole idea is that even though a person doesn't think naturally what it is, it's what it represents. It represents A, or it represents nothing. So if that's the case, since innately it represents mitzvah, it's a mitzvah. It's the act identifies as a mitzvah. What about it? It could identify as one of two mitzvahs. Which mitzvah? Mikra Megillah. The Rambam says Mikra Megillah, even though we rule mitzvahs because kavanah, Mikra Megillah you have to have specifically in mind to be Yotzei mitzvahs Kriyas Megillah. Why? For this reason. If you read Megillah, just read the Megillah, it's the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. Right? So therefore, because without, it could be identified as one type of mitzvah, therefore that it should identify with the mitzvah that it is, you have to have specifically in mind to be Yotzei the reading of the Megillah. Talmud Torah, you'll have credit for Talmud Torah, but not for the reading of the Megillah. Okay.